I've been stuck at the beginner levels for quite a while. That was actually 2 years ago. Right now I'm 1700, okay, and I'm leveling up. But then I was at the levels of 800, 900, somewhere along these elo levels. I was really stuck. I couldn't level up, and I was trying to figure out why. I was stuck around this level for like around 4 or 5 months, which was quite a lot. And so I decided to hire a tutor, so like he could just show me, okay, you're doing this wrong, so stop doing those types of stuff, so that you could level up. So I'm going in this video to show you what you can do in order to level up very fast and easy from the level that you're at right now as a beginner. So this video is if you're, for an example, 900, 1800. If you're below that level, this could also apply for you, but this is especially for people who have already played a little bit of chess and they really want to level up. So listen closely. So first of all, we're going to attend something which is called tunnel vision, and then we're going to come to touch on the openings that you play. Okay, these are two things that are very important, and I will show you a little bit more that you could do in order to enhance the way that you play. But let's start with the very first and the most important thing right now, that is tunnel vision and blunders. So let me show you an example right now. Okay, so this is our first example. You see that black just done the move bishop to g4. It was on c8 before this, and black had a small advantage, but now after it moved to g4, it's not that much of a winning thing, because now I can do, as white, I can do f3, okay, and I'm now kicking the bishop. So this move was rather kind of useless. I mean, of course you can move the bishop back, and this is okay. You can also move it all the way back if you want to, but again, this forces your bishop to move, so not the best option. However, instead of moving the bishop here or there, black had thought, okay, so this bishop, he thought for himself that this bishop is very strong, and he's right actually. And so what he wanted to do is he wanted to trade this bishop for this one, which could happen later on in the game. But the mistake that black had done in here is that he wanted to do it immediately right away, and to do a move like bishop to e6. And the reason that this is a blunder, and as you can see, you should have moved the bishop all the way back according to the computer. When you see an arrow like this in green, usually it says, the computer says that it's the best move, like an arrow in green is the best move. And so you can see that bishop to e6 really was a blunder. And it is a blunder because it gives white the option to fork two pieces, okay? The bishop and the knight. And actually it says you to immediately, you actually want to capture, because after it takes, you can put your knight here and you're forking a rook and a queen, okay? But this is also another way to do this. So after the knight moves away, white captured the bishop, and even now after you take the bishop, okay, white just checked the king with a pawn here, which is kind of crazy. And after the king moves, you get the same fork here, okay? The queen moves and it's a fork, and now you've just lost a lot of material in the process. You've lost a piece, which is a lot, and white now has a winning advantage, and he actually will go on to win this game. So, but it all started because of that move bishop to e6. Without this, black would have been in a very fine position, still not winning or having a huge advantage, but it is not bad back there. If you would have done this, the position is playable, okay, and you're not losing actually. And so how do you prevent moves like bishop to e6 from happening in your games? Because I guarantee if you're going to go to the archive of games that you have for, you know, when you can review back games that you play, when you're going to go there, I guarantee that there is at least a few or 2 or 3 times, 3 games that this have happened, okay? So we need to solve this now, okay, so that you could level up, because right now this is what stops a lot of beginners from leveling up. And so the way to prevent this from happening, bishop to e6 for an example here, It's just a checklist that before you make the move, you ask yourself, what could my opponent do? If I move the bishop here, what could white do? Is there a tactic that he can do? And you're gonna come up with an answer, which is yes. He could fork me like this. He could, with a pawn, he could fork like this the bishop and the knight. And he could also just take, and then come here with the knight. Okay? So I'll show you. Just takes, and takes. So here he can fork a rook and a queen again. And then you're going to discard this move at all, and you're not going to play it. You're not going to play bishop to e6, and you will come up with other ideas. Maybe to bring the bishop here, maybe all the way back like the computer showed, maybe here. Here is actually also very, very good. That's something you can do, okay? In order to solve this. That sort of blunders are called tunnel vision, and you solve them like I've just shown you. In general, the way that we describe tunnel vision and these types of blunders, it's like when you're making a move and you're not focused at all on what could happen if you do make the move, and you're just moving it as a one mover, and these one movers are going to cost you a lot of games. So that is the way to prevent moves like bishop to e6. Let's now move to the next. And remember, this is not just a one-time checklist that you need to complete in a game. This is, you need to ask yourself this question: what could my opponent do if I do this move before every move that you make? And then you're gonna prevent blunders like this from happening, and you're actually not gonna do even this much of any inaccuracies, because you're gonna ask yourself before making this move, bishop to g4, what could my opponent do? And you're gonna come up with another move. And so this is a very, very powerful checklist to ask yourself, what will my opponent do if I do a certain move that you're gonna come up with in your own games. So now let's move to the next thing that we have to talk on. So now we are going to talk about the second thing, which are openings and opening principles. So I'm going to show you an example right now. So in this position, okay, there was the Italian, okay, a regular Italian game. Black had done bishop to e7, fine move. Pawn to c3 in the Italian. There is this idea where you do pawn to e3 and then d4, and then it's quite easy to take a good grab over the center. But after a knight to f6, white has thought, okay, I can move my knight here, defend this pawn, and maybe also take here. And then there is the sort of fried liver attack. It's not really an attack because it's easily solvable as black. And so he did, but guess what? This is a mistake, because not only black can castle, which he did in this game, this is not really a problem as black, because black actually can take here still after this. So let me show an example. Let's say do d4, okay? I can still take here, okay? So let's say for an example, he takes d4. You can see that this is still capturable. Why is this capturable? Because if I take here, now I can fork two of your pieces, remember? And so now you're just a pawn down, okay? And actually black has now very, very good advantage. So this is why this is a mistake. The way that you're not doing a mistake like this is you come up with the concept of opening principles. And opening principles are just a set of rules of what not to do and also what to do in the opening. So for an example, there is a concept where we say we want to take over the center, okay? These four squares, they are the most important ones. So a move like pawn to h4 will never happen, okay? Because it does nothing to help me grab a good control over the center. And so this is why e4 is the most common move in the opening, because it's one of the most principled ways. It's not the most, it's one of the most. Okay, and so this is this in general. This is what opening principles are. They are a set of rules of what to do and what not to do. To level up, I would really advise you to just stop this video, or after this video, go and watch a video just about opening principles. Like, go literally just to YouTube and type opening principles, and the first video that pops up of a GM explaining it, just go to this one and watch it. They will do the best explanation that there possibly can be for how to play Principled. And so if you are gonna then play Principled, moves like knight to g5 will never happen, because one of the principles that we have in opening principles in this sort of subject is that you never move a piece twice, okay? This knight has already moved, right? So you're not gonna move it again. And then you're gonna come back to your plan, which is, okay, I wanna attack in the center, like here. And this is an example of what opening principles are. They prevent you from doing mistakes, like knight to g5, and they help you recognize when your opponent does mistakes like knight to g5. Opening principles and tunnel vision preventing solutions alone, so like how you prevent tunnel visions and opening principles alone can get you to 1100. I'm not even joking. It's just that in the beginner phases of when you're just starting to play chess, the overwhelming majority of players, they do blunders like the one that you have seen in the beginning of this video, and mistakes like knight to g5. This is why doing these two things can really level you up. Now, also, I have two tips for you now. If you want to play according to an opening, which is the best thing you can do as a beginner, it's just to play according to an opening. What an opening is just like you've seen white does pawn to e4, then there is pawn to e5, knight here, knight to c6, and bishop to c4. That is an opening which is called the Italian game. It's a set of moves in general that you're doing in every game that you play, and you know this set of moves extremely well. And so that is a double-edged sword, because it can really be useful if you know better than your opponent the opening that you play, but he could also know better than you. This is a very important and powerful weapon that you can use as a beginner. It's just have an opening like the Italian game that you're gonna know every time that you play, and then you could come up with solutions to, for an example, what are you gonna do if black does bishop to c5? Okay, what are you gonna do if black is just gonna play knight to f6? And you're gonna know these things. And it's a lot easier to play with an opening. So one opening for white and one opening for black. Okay, this is all that you need, and do not try to learn 4 openings all at the same time. It will make you okay in each of them, and you couldn't really improve from there. So just one opening for each side and be god tier at these openings. Very simple and very empowering as a chess beginner. So that is a short tip in relation to openings, and also a small tip that I can give you if you really want to improve in chess. You want to improve skills like calculation and things like that. You can really easily, instead of just playing 5 to 10 minutes games that are blitz and short rapids, instead, what about you're gonna play 20 to 30 minutes? You won't need to be as much aware of time management, and so it will be a lot easier for you because you're gonna have more time to calculate and things like that. So really consider just playing games that are longer. It's gonna be very easy then to level up. So after we have improved your ability to recognize tunnel visions and to prevent them, and after you have improved your opening principles and openings so well, there is also one last thing you need to do, and it's going to be very easy from there to beat most beginners that exist in chess, and that is to learn tactics. Okay, you've heard everyone saying learn tactics. How does it come to be so important? Tactics are important because what they do is, when you're calculating, they help you to recognize what can happen on the board, and they can help you recognize and prevent moves like bishop to e6 on that move. So for an example, here, when I do pawn to d5, this is a fork tactic, okay? A tactic is something you do in the game. It's different from a strategy. Currently, don't focus as much on strategies, focus on tactics first. Okay, then you could focus on strategies. But this is a tactic, okay? And after knight to e5, pawn takes, and here's another fork. Another example, this knight aims against 2 pieces, the queen and the rook. So another example for the fork tactic. The more that you know tactics, just the easier you're gonna play. But there are a lot of tactics, so I'm gonna say to you which ones you really need to focus on. Other ones you can focus on as well, but these ones are the most important for beginners. So the first one is the fork, as you've just seen. Another tactic which is very crucial is called the pin. I'm gonna show you right now what the pin is. And so the pin, the tactic which is the pin is, as you can see, let's say for a moment that this is white to move, okay? This queen cannot move anywhere on the board at the moment, okay? Because if it moves, okay, if it cannot move there, of course, because then you're gonna take the king. Oops, right? It cannot move anywhere because wherever it could potentially move, the king, if it moves anywhere, in short, you're gonna capture the king. So it cannot move, essentially. This queen is immobilized. Now you can easily take and promote yourself. And so this is a short example of what the pin is. And so this is another tactic, and I'm gonna show you how you can easily learn a lot of them very, very fast. And so this is the second tactic, the pin. The third is called the skewer. So let's say, for an example, instead of having the queen here, the king would be here, just a moment, here, and the rook is here. So this king is in check, okay? It has to move anywhere, and wherever it moves, and wherever it moves, yes, you're just gonna take the queen, okay? Oops, just a moment, let me show you. Okay, so here it is, an example for the skewer, as we have just talked about. It's okay, the king is in check, okay? Because the fact that it has to move, you're just gonna capture the queen, okay? So this is the skewer, okay? And so these are three tactics: the fork, pin, and skewer. And I would also advise you to learn another fourth tactic, which is called the discovered attack. You will already understand what it is when you're doing just loads of puzzles. And so learn these four tactics. It will be a lot easier for you to recognize when your opponent gets tunnel visioned, and also it will help you to prevent getting tunnel visioned yourself. So you could prevent it and you could exploit it easier when your opponent does it. So these are three very important things to do. So remember, this is what you need to do. One, find a video about how to prevent blunders if you need to. If the checklist that I've just said is not good enough for you, if you need to repeat it. And the second thing that you need to do is watch a video about opening principles, okay? And to learn an opening for white and an opening for black. And the third thing that you need to do is to do loads of puzzles, and on the platform that you're doing them, specify to do for these specific four tactics. So this is what you need to do. If you want a suggestion for which opening to learn, okay, I would advise you, when you start, first of all, start with either London system or the Italian, okay? These are like the openings that you can start with. They're very, very simple. So that is it for today's guide of how to level up very, very fast and easy as a chess beginner. Thank you for watching. If this video had helped you, then you can consider watching. There's another video that I've made on how to level faster, of like many tips that I've already made. If you want, it's just like additional information if you just want to level up faster. And so it's a win-win. And yeah, bye-bye.